need to be able to analyze the structure of a play. Okay, so everyone has their two sheets of paper, correct? Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. Raina, nice and loud, please read the ELA objective. I can identify the structure, story, elements, and sequence of events in Merlin and the Dragon. So this first sheet, these are our story elements. What are they, Emery?
Characters, setting, props, problem solution, and theme.
And on our thank you, and on our second sheet, we have the sequence of events broken down into 12 different steps. So we're going to be looking at the story elements and identifying the sequence of events today. Everyone has both the organizers, correct? Okay, so as a refresher, I want you to talk at a voice level one for 2 minutes with your shoulder partner to retell the story of Merlin and the dragons that we watched yesterday. And again, what is our assignment that we're doing right now, Leah?
We have to talk about with our partner about Merlin and the dragon and the themes of this queen.
And how long do we have?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, so you have 2 minutes. You may begin. What happened in Merlin and the Dragon? How did the story begin? Author.
It's very bad. I was very
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Merlin told Arthur that he is not Merlin, and that his father, that he's a king, and that his father
Okay, now partner B, let's switch and you tell the remainder of the story. So then,
after he told Arthur about his father, he told Arthur that he's a king. And he gave Arthur a dragon. And then he told Arthur to hold on to the dragon. It's about the man. And then when Arthur got the dragon, he told him
And he was like,
oh, class,
oh yeah.
bring it back down to a voice of level 0. Raise your hand if you would like to retell the story for us. Parker.
we were talking about what how at first Arthur was the bad about him yesterday. He thought he was going to kill him, sort of a rock. He came to talk about Merlin. Get some comfort.
He tried to get some comfort from Merlin, right?
Yeah, and Merlin told him about some stuff about himself by a character named Emerson.
Mm-hmm.
And in that story, he also talked about how a person named Luther also killed a white dragon.
Uh-huh.
Became king of the country that was living in right now. That same person was also Arthur's dad, and Emerson also Merlin when he was young.
Very good. Okay, so Leah, read the blue box for us, please.
In a small village high up in the Rocky Mountains, a well-lived and lonely farmer fatherless boy named Amos.
Mm-hmm.
Dark pale he was, a small with sharp brown eyes, and a mouth that rarely smiled. He had trouble by dreams, sleeping and waking. Dreams of dragons, dreams of stone.
Excellent job. How does this description of Emerus develop a connection between him and Arthur? Okay, so let's break this question down. How are we describing Emerus in this excerpt?
He's fatherless.
He's fatherless.
He's
Sad.
fatherless. He's sad.
No milk. No milk.
Depressed. Nobody loves him. Numb.
Numb. Why do you say that?
Because he sad. Delusional.
So are we talking about? We're talking about Emerus right now. How does he compare to Arthur?
He's fatherless and depressed. He has to
Having
go down. He has
old
to
man.
He has a big night.
Okay, and what about Arthur? Does he share the same character traits? Megan?
Well, we know that he is fatherless. He also has.
Please don't get out of your seat. Have a seat, please.
He also is having dreams that are making him wake up.
Right. They're both having bad dreams, right? So how does this comparison help build a story within a story?
It helps build the story within the story by having Emma be sort of representation of Arthur.
Exactly. Similar ideas, right? And how does the fact that they both dream build a relationship? How does it help them? How does it help them to relate to each other, being that they both have these dreams, Colin? Does Arthur feel like he's hearing about himself? Kind of. Okay. Do they have similar experiences with their fathers based on this piece of text evidence we have right here? Yes. Yes. Right? Okay. How does the story of Emerus, King Vortigern, and the dragon help Arthur recognize his strength? It is important that you notice the structure of the story. It is a story within a story. Okay, so within the story, we have what we call a frame story. That's when we initially begin the story, and then we have the story inside the story. Which character is the lead of the frame story? Jace?
Merlin.
The Voltigor.
Voltigor.
No, what is it?
The frame story, the initial story that when we begin.
Voltigor.
Arthur. How do we know Arthur is the leader of the frame story, the main character of the frame story?
Arthur was the one who did all this stuff, like the all these different sort of kind of scene, and he was the first person we actually learned about inside the book, and he was the one that was missing color.
Okay, and very good. And so, who is telling the story inside of the story, Leah? Who's telling the story inside of the story? Merlin, right? Okay, so I'm gonna draw this so you kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about. Well, I thought I was gonna draw it. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so this is Arthur's story, right? Shh. And then this is Merlin's story. Now you said Merlin is the main character of the story inside the story, right, Leah?
Yeah.
If we removed Arthur's story, if we took Arthur's story away, would we still have a story with just the story that Merlin tells? Yes. So that's how we know that it's a story within the story, right? Why is the story of Emerus and the dragons included in Arthur's story? Why is he telling Arthur this story? Chase, restate and answer, please.
He wanted to
make Arthur happy.
Restate and answer, please.
In the text it says Arthur was having bad dreams, but he went to Merlin and Merlin told him the story and he felt happy and he got comforted.
So what is the whole point of telling this story in the story? Add on to what he's saying, please, Tiger.
Okay, so the whole point of telling the story within the story is to make Arthur feel a bit more confident that he is being the king and make him feel a bit less scared.
Less scared, right? So he feels relatable, and so he feels, better about himself, right? Okay. So why is this story particularly important? How does it affect Arthur, Cameron?
It affects Arthur because
What does he realize?
he realized that he actually has importance and people really care about him.
Right. Where's his crown at the beginning of the story? Where is it? Do y'all remember where his crown is?
Under the bed.
Under the bed. Under the bed, right? But what does he do at the end of the story, Tiger?
He puts it on his
He
head.
puts it back on. He puts it back on. So we talked about, hold up. We talked about theme. What's theme, Blessing? The what?
Yeah.
The what?
The lesson.
The lesson of the story. The lesson of the story. So what would you like to add, Tiger? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I had a small. I was just gonna say at the beginning it was under his bed. At the end it was on top of his head.
At the beginning, it was under his
right.
bed. At the end, it was on top of his head. How does that relate to the theme that the author may be trying to teach the reader, Parker?
I think the relationship is that always keep your head high. Always confident.
Very good. Excellent. What can you add to that, Cameron?
I could add that the dreams, so never doubt yourself.
Never doubt yourself. Never doubt yourself. What possible things did you notice, Leah?
I can add that tells me that you should be yourself, be more confident, don't be scared about what other people say.
Just be you. Okay, so this is very important, the instructions that I'm about to explain right now. Okay, so I'm going to replay the video, being that EBR Schools does not provide us with the book for this important lesson. And you're going to use the two sheets that we created. One has the structure, story elements, which includes the character, setting, props, problem, solution, and theme. So as you listen to the story, you are going to fill out this sheet as you listen. Who are the characters? Hold up, don't tell me. Who are the characters in the frame story? Who are the characters in the story within the story? What is the setting of the story? And I have this anchor chart right here, so you can kind of keep your brain thinking as you're listening to it. Is it the same for the frame story and the story Merlin tells? What is a problem Arthur faces? That's going to be your problem and solution. What is the solution? What lesson? That's going to be your theme. So as you're listening to this story, you're going to complete this. And tomorrow, Leah, we are going to use this as an outline to develop our own drama. And then Friday, we're going to perform that drama in groups for the class. Okay? So first, we're going to take apart, hold on, please. First, we're going to take apart the structural elements. We're going to break down the structural elements of Merlin and the Dragons. Then we're going to create our own play tomorrow using the same structural elements, and then we're going to act it out on Friday. Okay?
Yeah.
So to help you also tomorrow to develop your drama, on the second sheet, we created a sequence of events. Okay? So as you're filling out the characters, the setting, the props, problem, solution, and theme, you're also going to be jotting down the events that happened. What happened first in the story, Colin? He got out of bed. He was having a bad dream. Okay, so you're gonna notice that there are 12 different boxes, right? Because if you are watching a drama, you don't want to be bored, right? You don't want just one, two, or three things to happen, right? So this is going to help you again prepare for writing your own drama in groups tomorrow by breaking down the different events that happen, right? So you want to start off what happens at the beginning, and then the things that lead up, all eyes up front, and then the things that lead up to the problem in those first couple. I need all eyes up front. Those things that lead up to the problem in those first couple of boxes, okay? And then in the second row, we're gonna have the problem at around box 5 or 6, right?
Say something?
Then we're going to unravel the problem, 7, 8, 9. We have the solution around 10, and then the theme, conclusion for 11 and 12, right? So this is a lot, but essentially you're taking your structural elements that you're writing down, and then you're just breaking them apart as well to kind of practice what it's like to write your very own drama. Did you think you'd be able to do that in elementary school?
Yes,
No.
but I found out another rhyme. At the beginning, he was having a bad dream, but at the end, he was noticing that he was actually the king.
Hey, I like that one. At the beginning, he's having a bad dream. At the end, he noticed he was not only a king, but a mighty king. Okay, all right. Okay, so before I start the video, what are we doing, Carter?
We're making a play. We're not making a play.
Okay, let's clarify those instructions. Leah, what are we doing?
Okay. To clarify these instructions, first we're going to do what are the characters, and then we have to fill out the setting, and then what is the setting of the story. And then we offer kiss.
Shh.
We're going okay. Reading the read aloud, and then we're going to be writing down what we think on our piece of paper about with characters, settings, problem, solutions, and theme. And then we're gonna write them down, and then we're gonna.
And why are we doing all this, Tiger?
So we can know what it's like to write a drama.
Right, which we'll find out tomorrow, right? Okay, so while we're watching the video, again, I want you to pay close attention to the illustrations. It's going to be about 25 minutes, and you are to remain at a voice level 0. Have both your graphic organizers up and ready to go. Okay,
And the
Can you
Dragons
turn the lights off?
by Jane Yolen.
are you ready?
Can you turn the lights off?
Sure. Please remain at a voice level 0.
Merlin and the Dragons by Jane Yolen. Illustrated by Lee Ming. The night was dark and the storm clouds marched along the sky. Rain beat against the gray castle walls. Inside, in a bedroom hung with tapestries, the young King Arthur had trouble sleeping. Awake, he was frightened. Asleep, he had disturbing dreams. At last, he climbed out of bed, took a candle to light his way, and started out the door. Suddenly remembering his crown, he turned back and found it under the bed where he tossed it angrily hours before.
Okay, you should have box 1 or 2.
It felt
at
too
least a
heavy
few
for
notes
his hand,
out.
so he carried it, letting it swing from his fingers. As he walked along the hall, strange
For your
shadows
sequence
danced
of
before
events,
him.
you should have 2 things. What
None
did he
were
do
as frightening as
first?
the shadows in his
And then
dreams.
where does he go?
He climbed the tower stairs slowly, biting his lip. When he reached the top, he pushed open the wooden door. The old magician was asleep in his chair, but woke at once, his eyes quick as a hawk's. "Oh, what is it, boy?" the old man asked. "Oh, what brings you here at this hour?" "I am the king," Arthur said, but softly, as if he were not really sure. "I go where I will." He put the crown under Merlin's desk.
Okay, we have 2
"You are a
characters.
boy," Merlin replied. "And boys should be in their beds asleep." Arthur sighed. I could not sleep, he said. I had bad dreams. Ah, Merlin nodded knowingly. The dreams. He held out a hand to the boy, but Arthur didn't dare touch those long, gnarled fingers. Let me
Okay, I would
read
have
your
box
dreams.
3. Why is he talking to Merlin?
It is one dream, actually, Arthur said, and always the same. A fatherless boy who becomes king simply by pulling a sword from a stone. Ah, Merlin said, withdrawing his fingers. I know the very child. But if you cannot tell me more of your dream, I shall have to tell you one of mine. After all, a dream told is a story. What better than a story on a rainy night? Arthur settled onto a low stool and gazed up at the wizard. A story? He hadn't known he wanted a story. He'd come
If
seeking
you were
comfort and
performing this in
companionship.
front of the
The
class,
story was better than both.
what props would you need at
He
this point?
listened as Merlin began.
Write it down.
In a small village high up in the rugged mountains of Wales lived a lonely, fatherless boy named Emrys. Dark-haired was he, small, with sharp, bright eyes and a mouth that rarely smiled. He was troubled by dreams, sleeping and waking, dreams of dragons, dreams of stone. His mother was the daughter of the local king and tried to be both mother and father to him. But a princess is only taught lute, songs, and
We have
needlework
another
and crafts.
character we need to add.
She'd never once climbed a tree after a bird's egg or skinned her knees pursuing a lizard or caught a butterfly in the net. Emrys had to invent that part of his growing up himself, and alone the inventing it turned out to be. The other boys in the village teased him for not knowing who his father was. Mother's babe, they cried, chasing him from their games. So Emrys went after birds' eggs and lizards, butterflies and frogs by himself, giving them names both odd and admiring,
Okay, so for
Like
sequence of
butterfly
events, we're now
and
beginning the
Twinkle
story within the
and
story.
making up stories of
And
their
what's
creation.
happening now in that story.
And he chanted strange sounding spells because he liked the sounds. Spells that sometimes seemed to work, most times did not. But he never told his dreams aloud. Dreams of dragons, dreams of stone. Now in the village lived an old man who knew all sorts of things, from reading and writing to how birds speak and why leaves turn brown in autumn. And because Emrys was son of a princess and the grandson of a king, the old man taught him all he knew. It was this learning that
In
brought
this
the
story,
village boys
within the story, what do we know
no
about
friendship but in
Emrys?
curiosity. They would ask Emrys to show them some trick with the birds, or tell them stories. Glad for the company, Emrys always obliged. He even took to making up harmless predictions to amuse them. The rain will soon fall, he would say, and often it did. The first spring robin will arrive, and soon after it came. Now, any father's son could have made the same right guesses, and after a while,
Are there any
the village
props
boys
that
were
you
no
will
longer
need to
impressed.
tell the story within the
However,
story?
one day Emrys found a book of seasons and planetary movements in the old man's cottage, and read it from cover to cover, and announced to the astonished boys, tomorrow the sun will disappear. The next day at noon, just as the calendar had foretold, an eclipse plunged the countryside into darkness. The boys and their parents were equally horrified and blamed Emrys. From then on, he was called Demon's Son, and avoided altogether. Here we go! Let's fly!
There's a problem in a story within a story. So
Years
that should
went
be on
by,
the sequence of
and
events. What's the problem?
incredibly alone, dreaming dreams he did not understand, dreams of a shaking tower, dreams of fighting dragons. One day, when Emrys was 12, a cruel and ruthless man named Vortigern came to the valley. Vortigern had unjustly declared himself High King over all Britain. But the country was at last in revolt against him, and he had been forced to flee, riding ever farther north and west. At last he had arrived at the foot of Daenerys Emrys, the mountain which towered
What
above
is
the
the
village,
setting of the story
With the
within the
draggled army
story?
of
Do you have that
Tarth
written down?
bearing tattered banners emblazoned with red dragons.
It doesn't have to
A
be
handful
complete
of
sentences, you
magicians
just jot
wrote
down thoughts.
Lord Egan pointed to the jagged mountain peak. There, he said in a voice hard and determined, there will I build my battle tower, so that I may see my enemies when they approach. He turned to his soldiers. Gather the people of this village and bring them to me, for they will be the hackers and haulers. They will make me a tower of stone. Young Emrys looked on in amazement. Banners sung with red dragons, a tower of stone. Such things had been in his dreams. What could it all mean? The Welsh stonecutters began their work under the watchful eyes of the soldiers. For many days they mined the stone, cutting huge pieces from the sides of Daenerys Emrys. They swore they could hear the cries of the mountain in each cut. Next, they hauled the stones with ropes, their little Welsh ponies groaning with the effort. Finally came the day when they built the tower up the mountainside, stone upon stone, until it rose high above the valley. That night, Emrys went to bed and dreamed once again of strange dreams. He dreamed that the tower,
I explained that as.
the very one built by Waukegan,
You're not writing questions.
shook and swayed and tumbled to the ground. And he dreamed that beneath the tower slept two
You're writing
dragons,
the sequence of
one
events.
red as Waukegan banners and one white. That very night, the High King's tower began to shudder and shake. With a mighty crash, it came tumbling down. In the morning, when he saw what had happened, Waukegan was furious, convinced that the villagers had done it on purpose. Your work is worthless, he bellowed to the Welshman. You will be whipped, and then you will back to your work all over again. So the Welshmen had to go back to their stonework, great welts on their backs. They hacked and hauled, and once again the tower rose high above the valley. But the night they were finished, it was the same. The tower shook and tumbled to the ground. By morning, there were only a jumble of
We need
stone.
props for this part of the story.
The Waukegan found them even harder, and by the following week, the tower was once again built. But a third time in the night, the great shudder went through the mountain, and the work was once again lay in ruins. Waukegan's rage could not be contained. He called for his magicians. There is some dark Welsh magic here. Find out the cause. My tower must stand. Now these magicians had neither knowledge nor skill, but in their fear of Waukegan, they put on a good show. They consulted the trees, both bark and they threw the magic sticks of prophecy. They played with the sacred stones of fate. At last they reported their findings. You must find a fatherless child, they said. The child spawned by a demon. You must sprinkle his blood on the stones. Only then will the gods of this land let the stones stand. They smiled at one another and at Waukegan. Smiles of those sure that what they ask cannot be done. Waukegan did not notice their smiles. Go fetch me such a child. Then the magicians stopped
You add
smiling
that
and looked
character to your
nervous.
character list.
We do not know if any such child exists, they said.
Or Tigger.
We do not know if your tower can stand.
It's on the board, but I'll write it right here.
Furious, Vortigern turned to his soldiers. Go to whomever brings me such a child, he roared. Before the soldiers could move, a small voice cried out, Please, sir, we of the village know such a boy. The speaker was a spindly lad named William. Come here, child, said Vortigern. Name him. But William did not dare get too close to the High King. His name is Emrys, sir. He was spawned by a demon. He can cry the sun from the sky. At that very moment, Emrys was on the mountain with the old man, absorbed in a very strange dream. Under the ruins of the tower, he saw two huge stone eggs breathing in and out. Just as he emerged from his dream, he was set upon by Vortigern's soldiers. What shall I do? He cried. The old man put a hand on his shoulder. Trust your dreams. The soldiers quickly found Emrys and carried him to the High King. But Emrys refused to show any fear.
Trust your dreams. That's
You
very
are the
interesting.
boy without a father. The boy spawned by a devil. What did you ask? I am a boy without a father. True, Emrys said. I am no demon's son. You have been listening to the words of frightened children. The villagers and soldiers gasped at his impudence, but Vortigern said, I will have your blood either way. Better that you have my dream, Emrys said. Only my dream can guide you so that your tower will stand. The boy spoke with such conviction, Vortigern hesitated. I have dreamed that beneath your tower lies a pool of water that must be drained. In the mud you will find two hollow stones. Each stone is a sleeping dragon. It is the breath of each sleeping dragon that shakes the earth and makes the tower fall. Kill the dragons and your tower will stand. Vortigern turned to his chief magician. Can this be true? The chief magician stroked his chin. Dreams can come true. Vortigern hesitated no longer. Untie the boy, but watch him, he said to the soldiers. And you, Welshman, do as the boy says. Dig beneath the rubble. So the Welshmen removed the stones and dug down until they came to a vast pool of water. Then the soldiers drained the pool. And just as Emrys had prophesied, at the pool bottom lay two great stones. The stones seemed to be breathing in and out, and at each breath
Are there
the
any
mud
props you
around
need for
them
this part of the
trembled.
drama?
Stone cutters,
Drag it down.
break open the stones. Two men with mighty hammers descended into the pit and began to pound upon the stones. Once, twice, 3 times the hammers rang out. On the third try, like jets of lightning, cracks ran round each stone, and they broke apart as if they had been giant eggs. Out of one emerged a dragon white as blue milk. Out of the other, a dragon red as golden wine. Astonished at the power of his dreaming, Emrys opened and closed his mouth and could not speak. The men in the pit scrambled to safety. The High King Vortigern looked pleased. Kill them! Kill the dragons! But even as he spoke, the dragons shook out their wings and leapt into the sky. They are leaving! Cried the chief magician. They are away! Cried the soldiers. They will not go quiet yet, whispered Emrys. No sooner had he spoken than the dragons wheeled about in the sky to face one another. claws out, belching flame. Their battles like nails on slate echoed in the air. Advancing on one another, the dragons clashed, breast to breast, raining teeth and scales on the ground. For hour after hour they fought, filling the air with smoke. First, the red dragon seemed to be winning, and then the white. First one drew blood, and then the other. At last, with a furious slash of its jaws, the white dragon caught the red by the throat. There was a moment of silence, and then the red dragon tumbled end over end until it hit the ground. The white dragon folded down, straddling its fallen foe and screaming victory to the air with a voice like thunder. Kill it! Kill the white now! Shouted Vortigern. As if freed from a spell, his soldiers readied their weapons. But before a single arrow could fly, the white dragon leapt back into the air and was gone, winging over the highest peak. Just so, the red dragon of Vortigern shall be defeated, Emrys said, but not so loud the High King could hear. Cursing the fiend dragon, Vortigern ordered the tower to be built again. Then he turned to Emrys. If the tower does not stand this time, I will have your blood. That night, young Emrys stared out of his window, past the newly built tower. A hawk circled lazily in the sky. Suddenly, the hawk swooped down, landing on his window ledge. There was a moment of silent communication between them, as if Emrys could read the hawk's thoughts, as if the hawk could read his. Then away the hawk flew. Mountains, valleys, hillsides, forests gave way beneath the hawk's wings until, far off in the distance, it spied thousands of flickering lights coming up from the south. As if in a dream, Emrys saw these things too. Emerging from his vision, Emrys turned from the window and went downstairs. He found King Vortigern at the foot of the tower. I have seen the vision that your fate is linked with the red dragons, Emrys cried. You will be attacked by thousands of soldiers under the white dragon's flag, attacked and slain. Vortigern drew his sword, angry enough to kill the boy for such insolence. But at that very moment, the lookout atop the tower shouted, "Soldiers, my lord! Thousands of them!" Vortigern raced to the top of the tower stairs and stared across the valley. It was true. And as he watched further, one of the knights leading the army urged his horse forward and raced along to the foot of the tower, shouting, "Come and meet your fate, murderous Vortigern!" Vortigern turned to his own men. "Defend me! Defend my tower!" But when they saw the numbers against them, the men all deserted. "Surrender, Vortigern!" cried 1,000 voices. "Never!" he cried back.
You have a question?
"Never!" The old wizard stopped speaking. "Well," Arthur asked, "what happened to Vortigern? You cannot end the story there." Merlin looked at him carefully. "What do you think happened?" "Vortigern was slain, just as Emrys said." "Is that the boy speaking?" asked the wizard. "Or the king?" "The boy," admitted Arthur. "A king should forgive his enemies and make them his chiefest friends. You taught me that, Merlin. But did that happen?" "The men of the White Dragon defeated Vortigern all right. burned him up in his own tower. And that night, the one who rode up in the tower first, what became of him? His name was Uther Pendragon, and he eventually became the High King, Merlin said. Uther, mused Arthur. He was the last High King before me. But then he was a hero. He was fit to rule. Perhaps one of his sons will come to claim my throne.
Is there a character you need to add?
Uther had only one son, Merlin said softly. Though only I knew it. He looked steadily at the boy. And that son was you, Arthur. Me? For a moment, Arthur's voice squeaked. Uther was my father? Then I am not fatherless? Then I am a king by right, and not just because I pulled the sword from a stone? Merlin shook his head. Don't underestimate your real strength in pulling that sword, Merlin cautioned.
I'm hearing lots of
It took a
opportunities
true
for
and worthy
themes
king to
as
do
well
what
as
you did.
solutions.
Arthur gave a deep sigh. Why did you not tell me this before? The old wizard's hawk eyes opened wide. I could not tell you until you were ready. There are rules for prophets, just as there are rules for kings. So now I am king in truth? Merlin smiled. You were always king in truth.
King and truth.
Only
What does that
nothing.
mean?
So you can thank your dreams for waking you up.
King my lord.
But what of Emrys? Arthur asked. What happened to him? Oh, he's still around, replied the wizard. Went on dreaming, made a career of it. He rummaged around in some old boxes and crates by the desk until he found what he was looking for. I still have this, saved it all this time. He tossed a large yellow dragon's tooth across to Arthur. Sudden recognition dawned on Arthur's face. You! You saved this? Then you were the boy named Emrys. Surely you guessed that before, Merlin teased. But now perhaps we will both go back to sleep. Thank you, Merlin, Arthur said. I don't think I shall dream any more bad dreams.
Why would
Merlin
you dream any more
fingers
bad
taped
dreams?
the boy's hand for a
Write
moment.
it down. Where would it fit on either one of your graphic organizers?
Great men dream great dreams, and I have dreamed your greatness. He plucked the crown from the desktop. Don't forget this, my lord king. Arthur took the crown and placed it carefully on his head. Then he turned, went out the door, and down the tower stairs. Merlin watched for a moment more, then sank back down in his chair. Closing his eyes, he fell immediately to sleep, dreaming of knights and a round table.
Okay, so I noticed some of you were obsessing a little bit over getting everything perfectly written, but let's remember two things. You're not quoting directly from the drama. Also, we listened to this story yesterday, so you're kind of familiar with the sequence of events already, yes? You're kind of familiar with, aside from Emery, who was not here, you're kind of familiar with the characters already, yes?
Yay!
We talked about the theme before we watched the video a second time, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yes to all those things. Okay, so identifying the elements and outlining the sequence of events. Cameron, can you identify, actually, let me get a volunteer to do the sequence of, the story elements. Jace, can you share your story elements for the characters you have?
For the characters, I got Arthur, Merlin, the mom, the daughter, the lizards, the kid Merlin with the Vortiger,
Mhm.
William Uther, and dragons.
Very good. And for the setting, go over the whole graphic organizer. The setting,
The kingdom.
the kingdom, and for the props, what would you need?
The crown, the dragon tooth, some chairs, a door, the eggs, a rope, rocks, swords, hammers, and armor.
Excellent. And what's the problem in solution?
So the problem is, Uther was had bad dreams and he was mad. So he
Arthur?
Arthur.
Uh-huh.
He threw his crown under his bed and went to Merlin and said he couldn't sleep. So Merlin,
So the solution was
the solution was talking to Merlin and getting to feel better and feel comfortable about Merlin and getting the tooth and the crown.
very good. And what is a possible theme of the drama?
Never doubt yourself.
Never doubt yourself. Excellent. Let's give Jake some snaps. Very good. Okay, and Cameron, come up and share your sequence of events starting from the beginning. Remember, it does not have to be perfect. I'm going to share mine with you as well. Go ahead, start from the beginning, Cameron.
The characters are Merlin, Arthur, and
Not that one, the sequence of events, the 12 boxes. So first, do that one, please.
First, Arthur got out of bed because he had a bad dream.
Mm-hmm.
Then he lighted up the lamp and went up on the stairs to get comfort from Merlin. Arthur made it up the stairs, but Merlin was asleep, but woke up quick with his hot eyes.
Okay.
Fourth, Arthur and he had bad dreams, so Merlin wanted to comfort him, so he told him a story. Five, the story took place in a village, and a boy named Emrys was a fatherless child. Six, he would often get bullied for being fatherless and did not have friends. Seven, but then he met a wise old man that could practically see the future.
Very good.
Eight, but one day, Waltern came to the village and wanted to build a tower. So they built the tower, but it kept on falling over and again, and he needed his magician.
Very good.
Nine, they told him that he needs the fatherless child. So they got him, and Waltern wanted to give his brother so everything could stop. 11. But the boy said that he needed his dream and told them that they would need to dig where the tower stood and then would need to drain the pool and there would be 2 large stones and they would have to hammer it in a white dragon and a red dragon would appear.
Very
They would
good.
have to slay it in order for it to stop because the breathing of the dragons was causing the tower to be more falling. And after the story, Arthur understood the story and felt better because he found out that Uther was his father and found out that he was true to him.
Excellent. Very job. So a lot of work went into that. Okay, so hopefully you were able to jot down some things you may have forgotten with your sequence of events. Okay, so let's look at the example we have on the board. Character settings, props, problem solution, theme. Read the character list, please, Colin.
Arthur, Merlin, Emrys, Dorothy, Walter, and Walter.
Very good. And the setting is what, Dario? For the main story.
Arthur's at the castle.
Okay, in the story, inside the story. Outside the castle. Props. What are the props, Cameron?
a bed in the crowd.
Just to name a few, I probably would need many more props than that, but bed and crowd. Problem solution. Read it, Leah.
Arthur cannot sleep because of traveling dreams, so Merlin tells the story that shows that he is meant to be the king.
Okay, so have your seat, please. So you see how we streamlined that, right? The story was 25 minutes long. However, two simple sentences. Well, really, just one sentence. He couldn't sleep. He was frightened by his dreams. Merlin told him a story that that shows he is meant to be king. Problem and solution in one sentence. Okay, and finally, theme. Read it, Parker.
Believe in yourself in your dreams. Arthur is scared to be king, but learns from Merlin that his father had the same issues, but he never gave up on his dream and became a good king.
Very good, very good. Okay, sequence of events. Young King Arthur, you may be seated. Thank you, Parker. Young King Arthur has bad dreams and wakes up. Arthur finds Merlin, who tells him the story of Emrys and Vortigern. And then we begin the story within the story. Emrys is an unusual boy who has no known father. He is lonely. The evil Vortigern comes to town and orders the people to build him a tower. The eggs are cracked and dragons emerge. Vortigern orders the eggs dug by the villagers. Emrys tells Vortigern of the eggs beneath the tower that are causing it to fall. The tower falls repeatedly until the magicians tell Vortigern to find the fatherless boy. Whoops, I went the wrong way. So it goes like this, actually. So after the evil king Vortigern comes to town and orders the people to build him a tower, then the tower falls repeatedly until the magician tells Vortigern to find the fatherless boy. Emrys tells Vortigern, that's the point of me giving you the example, so you can compare what you have and update your paper. Emrys tells Vortigern of the eggs beneath the tower that are causing it to fall. Vortigern orders the eggs dug up by the villagers. The eggs are cracked and dragons emerge. We're here, and then we're going down. The dragons fight a horrible air fight, and the white dragon eventually wins. Emrys foretells the defeat of Vortigern being defeated, as was the red dragon. An invading army defeats the evil Vortigern, and Emrys becomes king. And finally, returning to the original frame of the story, Arthur learns that Emrys was Merlin and makes him feel better. Okay, so using a little bit of higher order thinking, what symbolism do you think the red dragon and the white dragon can symbolize based on discussions that we've had and things that we've read so far this year? The red dragon was defeated, right? What do you think that could symbolize, Tiger?
Good versus evil, yin yang,
Good versus evil.
all that stuff.
So who's good and who's evil in this instance, as far as the dragons are concerned?
The red dragon seems like he's evil.
The red dragon is evil.
And the white one seems like he's a good one.
It was just born. They're already fighting.
I think they were.
They've been together for a while in those eggs. Who knows? Maybe they were having a tweedledee battle while in those eggs. We don't know.
I think they were brothers, but they just had really bad knees.
So I think it's quite interesting that the red dragon is defeated by the white dragon, right?
Because then according to the text, it says that the white dragon got the red dragon in his neck.
Okay, so take about 2 minutes to finish up your sequence of events if there's anything you need to add. Yes, Tyler?
Can you put it up and let it push
Please have your seat and remain at a voice level 0. You can have a seat on the carpet if you can't see, Carter. Check over your work to make sure that it's complete, that you have everything that you need. If you are finished, you may read a book at your desk until everyone finishes. Again, please be respectful while everyone else finishes.
I could probably do a two persons, do a place, do the only two people with the